So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I'll be taking your paper that is entitled, named as hydrogeology. Hydro means earth, and no, hydro means water, and geology means earth. So the study of the landforms of the earth, the study of the different rock types on the earth, which are responsible for the conservation, which are responsible for the identification, and which are responsible for preservation, will be studying those landforms, will be studying those rock types, will be studying the different water mechanism, the hydrological cycle, the land conservation policy, the different rock types with their property in terms of their landforms, and how we'll be preserving those water in different landforms, what are the different techniques, what are the different instruments, what are the different equipments, what are the different laboratory exercises that you have to do, what are the different kinds of prerequisites that prior to going into the field, you have to go into the field, you have to verify the field features, you have to identify the different earth features, and finally you will be mapping those earth features. So I'll start with the basic, with water cycle. Water cycle, you have been already seeing about various water logging processes that we have done over the decade, that suggest about wait again, where it has gone. So please join on time, otherwise again I have to restart and re again. So can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So we'll start with the water cycle. So it's not a new term that we are dealing with. Water cycle. Water cycle just comprises of different components of landforms or different parts. I can say the parts are evapotranspiration, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, transpiration, and surface runoff. So this is the entire process that is divided, means draw lines to connect to the parts of the water cycle to the description of the part. So evaporations, how it is related, then what are the, so what evaporations mean? Now you say you have got a there is one unit, there is different operations that we are doing in a water cycle, and in the second there is operations that we are doing too. So what, how you will be connecting it? So please connect it. Yeah, anybody? Evaporation means?
When the water reach their boiling, their highest boiling, then it will start to evaporate, sir.
Means liquid changes states to a gas. If you want to connect this evaporation, you can connect to liquid changes state to a gas. Okay, just like water. Okay, at a specific temperature, it converted itself to a gas, it comes out as a vapor. So that is that evapotranspiration. Then you have got condensation. Condensation, what it will be? uh, Water vapor turning to liquid. Condensation, it can be. Then precipitation, when the water is flowing on the ground surface. Transpiration is when the plants are needed for transpiration because you need leaves. Infiltration means the water that it is receiving on the ground flows downwards, recharge the underground water table. That is known as infiltration. And finally, surface runoff, which is flowing on the surface. So not to worry, we'll be having in detail about each and every operation that we have already discussed in the different parameters related to water cycle. So we'll start off with the sun evaporates the water from the hydrosphere. Evaporation means turning from liquid state to a gas state. From a liquid state to a gas state, if such operation is being happening where sun plays an important factor which emits the electromagnetic radiation towards the earth surface, and then the water is evaporated, that is known as evapotranspiration. transpiration. Okay. So water is now water vapor and an invisible gas. So you see this water is going up, and finally converting itself into gas. So what does evapotranspiration means? Means you can see this water changing to a state into a gas. Heat is required, and heat speeds up the process. You need a greater surface area, speeds up the process. Less humid area evaporates quicker. So which area will have more evapotranspiration, whether the cloudy days, whether the small surface area, dry air, sunny day, large area, humid air. So write the questions on the picture and then say yes or no. So this all are the processes that we'll be doing and we'll be discussing once we have completed all our lectures for today's class. So next is condensation. What does condensation means? Condensation means water changing from gas to a liquid. So you can see that in Pepsi or Coca-Cola bottle, when you take out from your fridge, or the tomatoes, you will be finding such a change in the condition. So that is known as condensation, where the water changes from gas to liquid. So it occurs when the water vapor touches a cool surface and clouds form during condensation. So whenever you are finding the clouds, means the operation of condensation operation is being performed in the atmosphere. Now once this condensation has been done, evapotranspiration, then you have got the clouds. Now clouds will provide precipitation. So what do you mean by precipitation? Precipitation means rain. So whenever we talk about precipitation, we are talking about rain. So what is this various kinds of rain you can have? You can have snow. That is also a form of precipitation. So you can see this snow is coming up. So this is a snow. Then you have got sleet. So this is another form of precipitation, that is sleet. Okay. You'll be finding this in Himachal if you come. Then you've got hail. So this is very common in many parts of the country. Like we were situated in a plain terrain. I belong to Jharkhand. So there we don't have any snow, we don't have any glacier. So when there was a hail, we said, today we are having a snow, but that is not a snow, but that is a hail. So, but all the people who are staying in the low-lying areas feel that they have got some snow cover in that area. So they are the different form of precipitations. Then comes surface runoff. Surface runoff. So what this mean by? So we have done with precipitation, we have done with condensation, we have done with precipitation. Now we have come with surface runoff. So what is surface runoff? Whenever during monsoon you will be seeing this kind of situations. The river is flowing, the water is flowing on the ground, on the surface. The river's length, area, size, dimension increases. So whenever it is beyond the carrying capacity of a river, that is known as surface runoff. So water flowing on the surface of the land. So surface runoff means the water that is flowing on the surface of the land, and that is beyond the carrying capacity and the holding power of a soil and a river, will be classified under surface runoff. So the next term that is associated with the water cycle is surface runoff. So you must be concentrating, you must be studying on runoff, because if you want to conserve water, this is the water that has to be preserved, because this water goes as a waste and meets the oceans, meets the sea. So because our changing climatic condition, our population density is increased, the demand of food supply is increased. So we have to look for alternative source of irrigation. We have to go for more irrigative land has to be brought into cultivation, and for that this water that we are right now studying, that is surface water, has to be preserved, has to be conserved for the changing climatic condition, for irrigation, for drinking, for increasing the water table in that area. And whenever we talk about runoff, this picture must be in your mind. What do you mean by runoff? So now today after this class, you can easily say by seeing what is condensation, what is precipitation, what are the different forms of precipitation, what do you mean by surface runoff. So surface runoff is more likely to happen when the water falls on a which area, gentle slope or a steep slope. So obviously I'll be saying that the surface runoff will be high more on a steep slope, because it will get the natural gradient, and that will allow the water to move with a very high speed. That's why you will see that there are recurring floods with a high intensity in the Assam, Arunachal, Uttarakhand, Himachal, Kashmir, because of the slope. But you will see that there is a lateral flow in the plains area of UP, Bihar, Jharkhand. So there you will be finding the waterfalls with a so you will have more surface runoff in steep slopes if you compare that with gentle slope. Okay, so this is the correct answer. You can see I've given the correct answer, so I'm jumping with a happiness. So steep slope is the correct answer when you talk about surface runoff. So when you think this is a moving raster, so water on a steep slope is also moving faster. It is moving so fast that it will run off instead of absorbing on the ground. So because in the plain area there is a possibility some of the water will move downwards through porosity and permeability of the soil, and it will recharge the underground water table. That's why the porosity is very high in low-lying areas. So now again, which surface will have the more runoff, whether you compare urban area or when you compare to agricultural land, which area will have more runoff? Because the entire area is cemented in nature. Like we have cemented the entire land, we have cemented the roads, we have cemented the pavements. That's why the water cannot go downwards. That the surface we created is impervious surface we have created, and the agriculture area is pervious surface. So impervious surface means the porosity and permeability is low, means the water's chances of penetration or moving downwards is low. That's why if you talk about runoff, because the water is not moving downwards, it will flow on the surface, and here the runoff will be very high in urban area if I compare that with the agriculture area, because of the poor porosity and permeability in the urban area. So that's why the surface runoff is very high in urban area. And nowadays you're seeing that there is a new concept of urban floods. Generally we said floods, that floods were generally occurring in rural areas or some isolated areas of the country. But nowadays, because of the change in the climatic condition, there is a huge amount of rainfall that we receive during few days of rainy season, and that is beyond the carrying capacity of the rivers, nalas, and the drainage. And mostly we have blocked all the nalas, drainages of the city. We have cemented the surface for our happiness, and this will lead to a flooding in those areas, especially in urban areas. That's why you'll see Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and many other metros are recurring facing the problem of floods. That is all because of this problem. This is one of the factor apart from drainages, slope aspect. There are various factors. Right now, what I said is only one of the factors that is responsible for creation of urban flooding in that area. So next we'll go to the correct answer is urban area. So again I'll be flying like a Superman. because I've got a correct answer. So water cannot absorb into the concrete. So if it doesn't absorb into the concrete, it will move in the surface as a runoff, and that will create a urban flooding in that area. So the more is the greenery in that area, the more will be the runoff in that area. Now, the surface, which surface will have higher runoff, dense vegetation or sparse vegetation? That's why we are saying that don't cut the trees. Plant more trees, because they stop runoff. They stop runoff. ठीक है? So what will happen? Which area will have highest runoff? The sparse vegetation, means there is no agriculture, there is no plants, there is no roots, there is no leaves, because the plants, roots, leaves absorb the water coming from the upland to the lowland. They reduce the speed, they reduce the time, and because they are reducing the speed, they are reducing the time, that allows the water to penetrate and go into the soil, and the entire topsoil is not ruined up as a silt with that water. That's why we are saying the more is the plantation, you have less the runoff. Lesser is the plantation, you will have the more the runoff, because there is no external agency or no external plant roots or leaves or different strength grasses that will hold that water. If that is not hold in that water, that will flow with a high speed. That's why the sparse vegetation will have higher runoff when you compare that with the dense vegetation. So dense vegetation slows the water, allowing it to absorb into the soil. Sparse vegetation allows the water to move more freely, making the surface runoff more likely. That I have already stated. So surface runoff is most likely when the moving water is less porous than more porous gravel. So now, which area will have more amount of runoff? Which area will have more amount of rain? So the porous means able to absorb fluid. So more porous the ground is, there will be less runoff. Means if there is water is falling, if there is a porous medium, the water will go downwards, it will recharge the underground water. If the soil is less porous, means the interconnected size of the grains are too closer in nature, so that won't allow the water to penetrate downwards with that much of intensity, means the water will be allowed to flow as a runoff. So more the porous the material is, lesser the runoff. Less the porous material is, more the runoff. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Like if you have got more the porous material like gravel, so here you can see the grain size is of different shape and size. So here the water will, if I pour 1 liter of water, the entire water will go as recharge and nothing will be there on the surface. But if I put the same water in this less porous, means the same monotonous material like sand with the same shape, size, texture, some of the portion will go towards the downward movement for the infiltration, lest it will be flowing on the surface, means it is less porous. So what does porosity and permeability means? If I talk about right now, means when I say about porosity, means measure of percentage of pore space in the rock or soils compared to its total volume. So this is the porosity, means how much open spaces are available to that gravel and sand. So if you see this is a sand and this is a gravel, so here you can see the open spaces are more greater in sizes when you compare with the same sand. That's why you will have more porosity in gravel if you compare that with the sand, and this has more porous space if you compare that with the sand. That's why you will have more surface runoff in sandy soil. So which area will be having more surface runoff, saturated soil or a dry soil? If you have got two kinds of a condition like you have got a saturated soil, you have got a dry soil. So what does saturated soil means? All the pore spaces in the soil is filled with water. Very little oxygen is available for microorganisms. Water will drain by gravity, and this is a dry soil. So which air water will have more surface runoff? This will have more surface runoff as the surface is already saturated with water. There is no possibility of porosity, there is no possibility of permeability as the surface is already saturated. That will allow the water to flow on the surface, and because it is already filled with water, the water won't be penetrating downwards. That's why you will have higher surface runoff in saturated soil. If you compare that with as a dry soil, dry means it is having no moisture. So if you put a water into a dry soil, it will try to accumulate that water into the surface, some on the surface, some to below the surface. But if you compare with already saturated soil, because the moisture content is already high, that's why the saturation level will be not so high, and you will face higher runoff in saturated soil if you compare with a dry soil. So I'll be starting correct answer again I've given. So where you will have more runoff, then you have got torrential downpour and a gentle rain, where you will have a higher runoff. Obviously, whenever you have got a torrential downpour, you will have a higher runoff. If it is a gentle rain, if you have got a lower runoff. So whenever there is a higher rainfall, it doesn't mean ki your lakes, ponds, water body, underground water table gets recharged. No, the entire water goes as a waste because the top soil is saturated and moves as a surface where the water flows as a river. But if there is a gentle water draining over the different parts of a different date, the recharge will be very high, and that will increase the water table in any region. So over the changing climate condition, what has happened is previously the rainfall was distributed within the weeks or within the number of days. Like we used to receive 400 millimeter of rainfall in a week, generally 100 millimeter per day. But now what happens is for a day we are receiving 300 or 250 millimeters of rainfall, and that created urban floods in any area, and that doesn't recharge that area. Instead, that water moves as a runoff, moves as a excessive water. Now we have to conserve this runoff. That's why I'm giving more focus to this runoff. So if the rainfall is extremely intense, the surface runoff becomes a flash flood. So nowadays you will be seeing that the flash floods are very common in many parts of the country, whether you talk about Australia, whether you talk about America, whether you talk about China, whether you talk about Netherlands. You will be seeing that the flash floods are very common in India too. That is all because of this. Now already we have studies about porosity, we have studied about surface runoff, we have studied about different evapotranspiration, condensation, then precipitation. Now permeability. So there are two terms whenever you're talking with a water movement. There is permeability. Permeability is the ability of fluids, commonly water and soil, to flow through a material that is rock or soil. So you can see that I often causes the ground to be impervious. So surface runoff is more likely to be occur when the ground is frozen. Okay, you have got a runoff is coming. So if it's frozen, if it's ice, if you put a water on your glass, that won't be absorbed. So that will have flow as a runoff. Same thing if you talk about ice, it has got a base, strong base where there is a low porosity and permeability. So what will happen? The entire water will flow as a runoff. So water cannot seep into the frozen ground, so it won't go downwards. There will be no infiltration, there will be no downwards movements of the recharge. Just like if I put a water on my glass table, there will be no porosity, there is no permeability, and whatever amount of water I am pouring onto the glass, it will be moved out as a runoff. Same thing happens on the surface on the ground. If the surface is tough enough, there is no porosity, there is no probability, the entire thing will move as a runoff. If you have got high porosity, if you have got high permeability, if the infiltration rate is high, the movement of the water is towards the ground surface for recharging the underground water table, your runoff will be less. So you can see this is called as infiltration. So infiltration means the top surface that the water is getting on the surface moves downwards to the underground surface. So infiltration is when the water absorbs into the soil by seeping into the pore surface in the soil and the rocks. So the water goes to the underground water table, recharges the underground water that is used for drinking. Right now, after monsoon, we require water for drinking. So generally we are using those underground water table, those bore wells for our day-to-day activities for drinking water. So infiltration is when the water absorbs the soil by seeping into the pore spaces in the soil and the rock. So infiltration is in where it will be high. Now infiltration will be just opposite to what the runoff is, because the porosity is very high, the speed is very high in the top surface, so the time duration is too low. Because of the gravity, the water moves as a runoff. But when it comes to the plain, it has got sufficient time to get flow into the soil. That's why the infiltration, if I compare that with a steep slope and a gentle slope, the infiltration will be high in gentle slope if you compare that with a steep slope. Okay, so next, water on a gentle slope is also moving slower. It is moving slowly that it begins to absorb in the ground. So now infiltration is more likely, which is the surface where the infiltration will be high. Obviously, because the urban area is properly cemented, it is a paved surface, though there is no possibility of infiltration. But in the agriculture area, there is poor free area. That's why you will have agriculture area as the correct answer. So my answer is correct. So I'll be start dancing and enjoying my answer. Next, the agriculture areas have lots of churn up soil. Churn up soil is easy for water to absorb into infiltration. So that is the correct answer. Then again, if you compare with dense vegetation and that with dry vegetation, so the correct answer will be dense vegetation, because the vegetation allows the water to go into the surface and it will be recharged to the underground surface when you compare to a sparse vegetation. So dense vegetation slows down the water, allowing it to absorb into the soil. So I've already said because of the vegetation, it will break the speed of the water flowing on the surface. So if it is breaking the speed, it will allow the water to recharge into the ground, and gradually it will increase the infiltration ratio in that area. So infiltration is more high with less ground and surface, which will area will be more porous. So this area is more porous. So here the infiltration rate will be also high because of the pore spaces that we have already says. So infiltration is more occurring in the ground of saturated spaces or dry surfaces. So where will be infiltration? Obviously, it will be in dry surfaces, because here the saturated soil is already having a high moisture content in the soil. So it cannot accept more soil into the subsurface. But this, on the other hand, this is a dry surface and it can absorb a lot number of water into the topsoil as well as into the lower soil. That's why the infiltration rate will be high in a dry soil if you compare that with a saturated soil. So I'll be starting laughing. So where will be the infiltration high? Again, if you go with high rainfall on a particular day, and then you compare that with a gentle rain on a particular day, obviously the gentle rain, it will be allowing the water to penetrate downwards, and it will infiltrate into the ground, and it will recharge the underground water table. But high rainfall, the water will move as a runoff, and it will won't be recharging the land. That's why infiltration will be high when you have got a gentle rainfall, when we compare that with a heavy rainfall in a particular area. So now transpiration. What do you mean by transpiration? Transpiration means whenever there is water evaporated through the leaves of a plant, that is known as transpirated. So the sun emits electromagnetic radiation. Those radiation comes and interact with the leaves. The leaves water present in the leaves goes towards the ground, and this water evaporates from either from the leaf surface. It can be coming from water that is absorbed through the root. It comes through the plant and finally goes into the atmosphere. And this is what we do, the process of transpiration. So you can see that small openings on the underside of the leaves are called as stomata. So the through stomata we'll be getting this evapotranspiration. So during the winter, the stomata gets very small, less transpiration occurs. During the summer, the stomata gets larger, more transpiration occurs. Okay, because it is covered with snow, so less of size, and in summer the more of size. So with this I'll be stopping my today's presentation. Now today we have done with the various topics of water cycle, whether it is evapotranspiration, condensation, transpiration, surface runoff, infiltration, porosity, permeability. Now many of the myths will be clear, many of the surfaces will be clear. So you must start preparing your notes related to the topics that I have taught you in the class. Thereafter we'll have 2 to 3 minutes of your group discussion in case there is a confusion of any of the topic. Thereafter your quiz in your LMS. Thanks a lot for being patient and listening to me.